Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting us, and thanks to Leighton for allowing us to share the work that our kids are doing, and also for helping us in the early stages of developing our middle school program, especially around assessment and stuff like that. We are the grade 7-8 classroom in Desert Sands Community School. It's a K through 12 school in Ashcroft. We're interdisciplinary, project-based, experiential with lots of field trips and so on, and we do marks-free assessment.
Our schedule includes big blocks of time where students are involved with interdisciplinary project work. There is time throughout the day where multiple teachers are weaved in and out. For example, the shop teacher, science specialist, English specialist, and their electives teachers. This is our schedule for this year. Some important points: we have flexibility everywhere it says project work. Students are with Brent and I for project work, which includes shop time on day 1 and have 2 other teachers on day 2 when Brent and I are on a prep block.
We decided to showcase last year's project because it's complete. Last year's project was a timeline of world history from prehistory to 1750 BCE. The students did individual research topics, they wrote historical fiction stories, they looked at the elements of literature in developing character and plot and setting, they built artifacts for the timeline, and they made posters showing connections to the periodic table with each of their topics. This is the shot of the kids working in the makerspace and the art room. Right at this point, they were working in the early stages of their artifacts, mostly with paper and cardboard and some really basic materials. Following this, they went through a process of class critique, and they each had an individual consultation with us, which was followed by later artifact revision.
When Brent and I collaborate at the beginning of a project, we start with our big ideas cards, which are all the big ideas for grades 7 and 8 in English, science, socials, and sometimes math. And we spread them around on a table and look for similarities or matches. Once we have a grouping, we start to work on attaching curricular competencies and content to the big ideas.
From there, the big ideas go to a planning page, which the structure for this page came initially from Leighton. Thank you, Leighton. And then we've added little pieces of it to fit our own project structure. But you can see on there the different subject areas, including First People's Principles of Learning. And that's the basis for our future planning.
We have 2 exhibitions of learning at our school, so our next planning step is to come up with what we want to show at exhibition to demonstrate learning. Last year we focused on the historical character story and a permanent timeline artifact.
We then did a ton of critique and revision. This was based on the work of Ron Berger. You've probably heard of or seen Austin's Butterfly and some of the other pieces of Ron's work. So this was really our sole focus last year, was just to get some really high quality work from the kids through critique and revision. They only wrote 1 story in the year, but they edited and rewrote that story many times.
Once we have worked out the project and assessment sheet, we ask the students to do a critique to which we revise and present back to them. We then start anchor lessons on content pieces so students can build a knowledge base before they research their own projects.
For our assessment, we mostly use a single column rubric. There's an example on the screen there. The left-hand side indicates areas where we feel the student needs to revise their work or redo pieces or maybe include missing pieces. On the right, we can indicate what we're really pleased with and what we hope remains essentially unchanged in their work. We find that this rubric gives us enough flexibility to comment anecdotally on their work without attaching a numeric or a letter grade, which tends to indicate the end of the learning.
Multiple entry points are important, so everyone is included. We use graphic organizers, frames, and templates, which we find helps chunk up the research work. In this case, students chose an event that occurred in ancient times and used the research frame and guiding questions to help them be more thoughtful about what they recorded during research. After research was complete, students began building their characters, setting, and plot using graphic organizers to record their thoughts in an organized manner. Then they wrote their stories and went through multiple stages of editing. These editing sessions focused on grammar and conventions, dialogue formatting, and inclusion of historical context. Editing was done individually in pairs, groups of 3, and finally their writing was teacher edited.
For our critique and revision, we used these 3 simple rules which we took directly from Ron Berger's work. Be kind, be specific, and be helpful. In our experience, we found that rules number 2 and 3 especially needed ongoing coaching. We also hope that those are the ones that kids take with them to their future work, with the ability to comment on one another's projects or writing or whatever it is in a helpful, specific way.
After our first edits of their story, we gathered data and planned small group mini lessons to support their writing. We noticed they also needed explicit teachings on how to include historical context in a fictional story. We got them to do even more focused research and building of characters, setting, and plot. After they were finished research, we introduced the building of an authentic artifact, and students got started with their initial ideas. They went through peer critique as well as teacher and community critique at our exhibition.
That critique and revision was applied to all aspects of the project, not just their writing. Again, with the goal that their end result would be high quality. This is a shot of the open area display after the project was complete. We have this large open area at the back part of our school. We kind of commandeered 2 walls for this permanent display. We'll show a few close-ups of the kids' work just to show the care and attention that went into detail, and also the artifact placards. What we hope is that the display also respects and shows our care and attention for their high-quality work.
Students wrote museum quality placards that hang beside their permanent timeline artifact. Students began with a graphic organizer and then went through multiple critique and revision sessions to achieve their final result. These are the final published stories.
So this year, changing gears a little bit, our project this year is Ripon Rivers, which is based on the Thompson River and its tributaries. This year we got into life science, fish cycles, the microbiology of water samples. We did some physical geography with fluvial landforms and water movement. We looked at story writing, but also storytelling and our local indigenous story, our land-based storytelling. We looked at the local communities and our connectedness to the Thompson River, and we did mapping and topographical map labs, leading eventually to the 3D model of the Thompson watershed. This year we wanted our project to be largely land-based, so we've done lots of field trips, about a dozen last fall, with some more coming up in the spring.
This year, during our process of planning, the big ideas led us to the Ripon Rivers project, where we decided on our main projects for the year, which included a field guide of the Thompson River that was published and curated, scale model of the Thompson River, a fictional story, and a paddle design and build, and an open inquiry. This project has allowed us to go on 12 fall field trips, which allowed us to explore local land and community. Students recorded observations in their authentic field books and documented with photos. The field guide project has allowed us to explore our place, build our observation, photography, drawing, and writing skills, and immerse us in experiential learning.
So what have we learned in all of this and over the last few years? If we want authentic and beautiful work, we must provide time.
If we want authentic and beautiful work, we must provide critique and revision facilitation.
We teach holistic anchor and mini lessons, and everything we do connects to the topic of the project.
And all of our lessons are taught in a highly scaffolded way using templates and graphic organizers and have multiple entry points. We can send you some digital links to Layton for your reference, and feel free to connect with us if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to Layton for the opportunity to show off our students' work.